All right, guys, welcome back to day 2 of my 30 teams in 30 days NBA series. So today we're going to be discussing my Eastern Conference favorite, the New York Knicks. So the Knicks have had a great summer, in my opinion. I think the additions of Gershon Yabusele, Jordan Clarkson, Malcolm Brogdon were all big additions for them, and I think they're all going to be great for them. I especially like the addition late in the summer of Malcolm Brogdon because I think they needed a playmaker behind Jalen Brunson, somebody that can run the show while he's off the floor, can really help them, give them a boost off the bench. I think he's going to be good for them. With Clarkson, he's really going to bring that scoring punch off the bench that they needed because you really just had Deuce McBride at times last year. Landry Shamet, sometimes in the playoffs, he brought that. Same with Cameron Payne, but I think Jordan Clarkson is definitely a more reliable option, definitely can play more minutes than them. I do like how they brought back Landry Shamet, though. He was a good floor spacer for them. And finally, their last addition of the summer was Gershon Yabusele, who I think is going to be great for them coming off the bench. He's another hustle guy like Josh Hart, Deuce McBride. We'll get more into them later, but I really think he's going to be good for them off the bench. He's going to get a board or two when Cat or Mitchell Robinson's off the floor. He could even play some small ball 5 like he did for Philly last year, so you can give those guys a break. Now let's get into what I think should be the starting 5 for this team. I'm looking at Brunson, Bridges, OG Anunoby, probably Karl Towns, and Mitchell Robinson. We're going to bench Josh Hart just because, I would rather have Josh Hart off my bench than Mitchell Robinson because he could bring the hustle off the bench. He could help those guys. He can mentor those younger guys. And I really just think he would be a better fit off the bench for this team. He doesn't have to play 40 minutes a night like Thibodeau is giving him. None of these guys do. They can all get more of a break now that there's a bench and there's a new coach in Mike Brown. So let's get into Jalen Brunson. So Jalen, I really like what he brings to the table. He's one of my favorite players in this league. I think he's going to have a really good season once again this year. Honestly, I think he might finish top 7 in MVP voting just because this team is going to be so good in the East. I think they're going to be either a 1 or 2 seed behind the Cavs, but I think at times they could beat the Cavs and they could have more wins than them. And even in a playoff series, I don't know. I would maybe take the Knicks in 7 because they did beat them a few years ago. Yes, that was a younger Cavs team. Plus, this Cavs team has gotten better, but so has this Knicks team. This Knicks team has definitely gotten a lot better than it was a few years ago. I think Brunson is going to be an all-star once again this year, probably a starter. He is one of the best guards in the East, if not the best guard in the East. I think he's going to be really good for them. And, yeah. Now let's get into Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. I like to put these two together because I think OG, obviously a great defender, Defensive Player of the Year candidate in my opinion, but I think he's also one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. But I think OG is definitely going to take an offensive jump next year. He looked really good at times last year towards the end of the year and in the playoffs. And Mikal was coming off a year averaging like 17. Solid for Mikal. He looks good. And I just really like this duo on the perimeter defensive side of the ball. Now I kind of want to get into the duo of Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns. I think they fit very well together on the floor. I like Karl Towns as a floor spacing 4 instead of a floor spacing 5 for them, just because I think they need more of a big brute down there on defense, and I think Mitchell Robinson is that. As long as he could stay healthy and he could play 60 games, 55 games, if anything, if we could just keep Mitchell Robinson on the floor, I think this could be a very tight-knit group. I think they could probably be the 1 seed in the East. Because Towns at times last year looked like the best center in the East. And I would not blame you if you said he is the best center in the East, because really his only competition is Joel Embiid, Bam Adebayo, but Joel Embiid's always hurt, and I think Towns is better than Bam. And I think he's going to have another great year this year, probably All-NBA again. Him and Brunson going to carry this team once again. Now I want to get into this bench a little bit. So you have Deuce McBride, you have Josh Hart, plus the new additions that I already mentioned. I think those two are going to be good. I think Deuce is going to take another step yet again on offense. Hopefully he can make more of his threes, which would be nice. Same for Josh Hart. I don't think Josh Hart's going to have to play as much as he had in the past. So I think what he contributes is still going to be broadcast, though, because he is still a really good player, and I think he's extremely underrated in this league. And even these young guys that like Pacoma Dadiet, Tyler Kolek, Ariel Huck Purdy. I think they're going to get more opportunities this year than they did last year under Tom Thibodeau, under Mike Brown. And I think Tyler Kolek especially, he's probably my favorite out of those three. I think he's going to show people that he's really good and he's deserving of an NBA contract. I don't really know much about that yet, but I also like what Huck Purdy brought last year. He was really good for them at times. Now I want to get into the addition of Mike Brown a little bit.
Let's get back to our breaking news in the NBA. Shams Charania reporting that Mike Brown will be the next head coach of the Knicks. He replaces Tom Thibodeau, who was fired after taking New York to the conference finals. The Knicks' requests to talk to Jason Kidd, Ime Udoka, and others were turned down, and then Brown emerged as the top candidate. Our NBA reporter Brian Windhorst is with us right now. And Wendy, what more can you tell us about how the Knicks came to this decision with Mike Brown?
Well, it was quite a process. I don't know if you heard of Mina, but they took their time. But he sort of emerged from their process. He had multiple visits to New York. He met with their entire front office, then came back and met with owner James Dolan before this decision was reached. And here's what you have to understand about Mike Brown. He has one of the most varied resumes of anybody in the profession. He has coached under Greg Popovich. He has coached under Rick Carlisle. He has coached under Steve Kerr. He was the head coach for LeBron James. He was the head coach for Kobe Bryant. There have been times in his career where he's coached the #1 defense in the league. When he won Coach of the Year for the second time 2 years ago with the Kings, he coached the #1 offense in the league. So he has a very long career. He has seen many different things. He's had many different challenges. He's had many successes and he's had a few failures. He's been fired a number of times.
I think he's going to be a great coach for them. I really liked what he did in Sacramento. He really turned that team around. Finally brought them to the playoffs after 15 years, 20 years. And I think he's just an overall good coach. I think he's going to work well with these guys. And I really like what he brings to the table as a head coach for these New York Knicks. So I think probably my overall prediction for this team is I think they're going to get around 60 to 62 wins. I think they're going to be better than most people think they are. I think they're going to be much better. And I think it could be a team that we see in the finals next year. Winning it, I don't know about that because I do like some teams in the West better than them. But as long as they get past Cleveland, I see this team in the finals next year.